career, now spanning 36 years himself, furthering the field of reverse speech as his full-time occupation. David has developed new theories and designed therapeutic and training techniques. He has published several books on reverse speech, including Beyond Backward Masking, Voices from the Unconscious, and It's Only a Metaphor, and numerous tapes and training manuals. Joining me now is David Oates. And David, always great having you with us. It has been way too long, my friend.
Yes, it has indeed. Very good to be here. Good to speak to you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always a great pleasure, David. Now, for the listeners who may not have had the opportunity of hearing you in the past on the X Zone, what is reverse speech?
Well, simply, reverse speech is another form of human communication. As the human brain is constructing the sounds of speech, it's putting those sounds together in such a way that we're saying two things at once. One forwards from the conscious mind and the other one in reverse from the unconscious. The way we hear this extra form of communication is by recording human speech and quite literally running it in reverse or running it backwards. And when you take speech backwards about once every 15 or 20 seconds, according to my research, we will hear a very clear phrase that
And welcome back, Exo Nation. David Oates is our special guest, and just some of the many media shows that David has been on include CNN's Larry King, Live, Geraldo, Leeza Gibbons, Strange Universe, Extra, just to name a few in Australia. He has appeared on such shows as Good Morning Australia, Today, Tonight, A Current Affair, and Today. His work has also been featured in hundreds of newspapers and well-known publications such as the New York Times, Harpers Review, Omni Magazine, and Discover Magazine. For more information about David, visit his very worthwhile website at www.reversespeech.com. And by the way, David currently resides in Adelaide, South Australia. David, the examples you gave us are undeniable of what you've been telling people around the world over the many years.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are undeniable. And, when I give my live lectures, you hear the gasps and awes from the audience. It's like, wow, it's a phenomenal discovery.
It is.
Really, where do I start with it? I mean, it essentially means the human mind is no longer private, but that's a bit of an ominous look to it. It will reveal the truth if a lie is being spoken. It will reveal hidden thoughts. But some of the really exciting aspects of it is in the exploration of consciousness and the unconscious mind and human behavior, and of course that's where I use it. I have a very active therapeutic practice, and I have great success.
How would you apply this to that specific area?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little bit involved to answer. I have developed a whole technique which involves a combination of hypnosis and reversal analysis. And in one recording, I can get a very good idea of what's happening in the unconscious mind, what's causing current problems. Reverse speech will often describe the problems using metaphor, words like wolf, goddess, and I will take my clients on a metaphoric journey through the unconscious mind, where they interact with the various metaphors that appear in their reversal. They're like pictorial journeys through the dreamscape, if you like.
Wow.
And as we see them, well, my theory is that the unconscious thinks in pictures or a metaphor, and human behavior is a construct of the metaphorical structures. Reverse speech will tell me what those metaphorical structures are, and will also tell me how to change them and shift them to achieve certain outcomes. Like someone might say, my wolf is sick. And then I might ask them in another table, how do you fix up your wolf? And I might say, take it hunting. So I will, in the metaphoric journey, I will have them see a wolf and I'll take the wolf hunting. I mean, that's just a very simple example. But they're very vivid metaphoric journeys, and they create extremely powerful behavioral shifts. And I have, you can just go to my website, read some of the testimonials from my clients. I believe I've tapped into the core structures of the unconscious. And then when you get even deeper still in reverse speech, you're tapping into the spiritual realm. I mean, reverse speech will tap into the voice of the soul.
Wow.
And then, of course, now we're getting into some very deep stuff, But
tell me, David, I know that reverse speech works with the English language. Does reverse speech work in all languages?
We've looked in detail at 3 so far: French, Spanish, and German. We have found them in all 3 of those languages. Interestingly enough, we've found a common metaphorical structure. They're using the same metaphors. I believe we're tapping into a universal collective unconscious. If someone is bilingual, you can get reversals on both languages, and sometimes it'll start out in one language and halfway through the sentence it'll switch to the other language.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing. So, Unfortunately, I only speak English, so I'm relying on the reports from my other analysts who have studied it in other languages.
David, you've done 36 years of
Yeah,
hard work. How
yeah.
come it isn't, reverse speech isn't more well known?
I ask myself that question all the time. It's certainly not for lack of publicity.
Oh, I know that, my friend.
I've been all over the
Hmm.
place, and I mean, Progressive Insurance came out with a commercial a couple of years back where they had people playing taste backwards, finding hidden messages, which I found quite ironic. I
Wow.
thought, gee whiz, I have made an impact. Look, I think it's two things. It's something totally, utterly, completely new.
Hmm.
It sounds weird. You play tapes backwards and hear things, Oh yeah, right, okay. I can sell you a bridge cheap,
Sure.
I recognise that, and it's also the fear factor. The fact that you can actually find out what I'm really thinking.
Oh, I see.
It's a big threat to the powers that be.
That is just like the people who fear all the different surveillance methods that are out there in order to protect them. Well, that Big Brother is watching, and I've always said the only time you have anything, no, I say if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear.
Yeah, right.
So I would imagine the same would apply in this scenario as well.
Unfortunately, many people have a lot of things to hide.
Well, isn't that the truth?
So I don't know. I've got a documentary coming out next year.
Oh, super.
Yeah, we've just finished all of the filming, so all the filming is being done. So we're into the final editing stage now. So we're going to be submitting that to some film festivals, and hopefully some of the networks will pick that up. So that may spread the word a little bit more. So yeah.
So tell me, David.
I'm working at it.
After 36 years, where do you see the future of reverse speech?
Oh, dear me. If you'd asked me that 20 years ago, I would have said centres all over the world by now.
Sure.
Look, we've got about a dozen trained analysts. In the short term, I really want to set up a whole bunch of reverse speech centres across the world. Like many other modalities, NLP, hypnosis, there's a pile of others, and there's no reason why reverse speech should not take equal ranks with all of them.
But in the age of the internet and instant communication, Skype and all the other audio two-way communication platforms that are out there, wouldn't are centers around the world necessary, especially since they can contact any of your established centers right now?
All right. Well, that's true. You're absolutely right. I can't deny the logic of that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Long term, this is beyond my lifetime. Once we've studied it, once it's been accepted and studied, however long that takes, I see it leading humanity into a whole new era, a whole new era of honesty. There is no more lies. I believe it will make us understand that we are all connected as the human species through a common collective unconscious. Reverse speech talks about that. It will give us insights into the human soul that religions and philosophers have thought for centuries. All that is in the future. That's not going to be in my lifetime. That'll be once people accept its existence and sit down and really study it. I mean, it potentially taps into the 95% of the mind that is unconscious, that we don't have access to, and what it can offer psychiatry and psychology and law enforcement, and is just monumental.
Well, let me ask you this, David. If somebody was to understand how reverse speech works, would they be able to manipulate a sentence? Would they be able to manipulate a speech in order
Yeah, look, I've been asked that question many times, and I honestly don't know the answer to that. I have tried to lie and manipulate my own reversals, and I haven't had any success. Whether you could use some form of hypnosis to do that, I don't know. It's something I haven't tried. I personally don't think so. I really don't think you can manipulate it. It's the unconscious mind's way of communicating the truth. And
But what I'm saying here is if somebody, for example, a politician, knows that what they are going to say is going to be analyzed by somebody using reverse speech, is it possible that they could actually write a speech that they know will give a false reading?
No, they can't, because see, it's not to do with the words; it's to do with the sounds of speech.
Gotcha.
So you can say exactly the same. I can say the same sentence as you. We'll have two completely different reversals. You know, you can reduce the reversals. I mean, if you, if you get in a very left brain manner and not tap into the right brain, which is where reverse speech is coming from, and read a prepared text, then you can cut the reversals way down.
All right, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. XO Nation, David Oates is our special guest, talking about reverse speech this hour, www.reversespeech.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this break with the news. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. David Oates is our special guest. He is the... What can I best call you? You didn't invent it. You discovered it.
Yeah, I didn't invent it. I discovered it.
Yeah, the discoverer of reverse speech, and his website is reversespeech.com. David, what are some of the applications that are being used today for reverse speech?
Okay, well, primarily it's used in the therapeutic context.
Right.
That's probably about 70% of my personal business is in therapy. However, that being said, I have a few corporate clients who will consult with me when they've got to make important business decisions. Reverse speech will tell us whether it's going to work or not.
Okay.
Occasionally, I'll get requests from married couples. Well, but that's in the therapeutic context for marriage counselling. That's the area. The police have used it on not as many occasions as I would like them to, probably about a dozen that I know of. We've had success in every case. However, for reasons unbeknownst to me, we have gone as far as we. Let me paraphrase that. My work with the police have been cut short in every occasion, and I don't know why.
Wow.
Even though I have uncovered valid information, like in Australia,
Sure.
The police found a murder weapon in a basement. After I found a reversal that said the firearm is in the cellar, they got a search warrant and found it exactly where the reversal said it would be. And one of my analysts in Dallas was working for the Dallas police, and they were looking for a body. And on the suspect, they said it was in a creek. And 2 days later, they found the body in a creek bed under a tree.
My goodness.
And despite these successes, the work with the police has been abruptly cut short on every occasion.
Well,
I'm not too sure why.
I'll tell you something, David. As a former police officer and criminal investigator, I wish your techniques would have been around when I was still on the force, because I certainly would have used them.
Yeah. Well, one of my very good friends and who's also a reverse speech analyst was a police officer for LA County, and he was trying to get his sergeant to use reverse speech, and he just hit a brick wall every time he tried.
But here's a question: when it comes to, for example, where does the legality of the analysis of reverse speech being performed on a recording that has not been authorized by both parties?
Oh boy! Now you come down to discussions that are currently going on in our organisation.
Yeah.
Look, currently our code of ethics say that we will not analyse unless we've got permission from both parties recorded on tape. However, that being said, I have analysed police interrogation tapes where the suspect didn't know I was analysing it. So have I violated my own code of ethics? I probably have.
Well, let's see. If somebody has been, I know how it would work here, is if I read somebody their rights, and they are in an interrogation room.
Right.
Their conversations and their video are recorded.
Right.
Some police agencies use PSE, psychological stress evaluation, on.
All right.
So I don't think that, as long as it is done within the confines of an accredited or a legitimate police investigation, that
Right.
it would be frowned upon at all, because I just think this would be an excellent investigative tool.
Yeah. Well, I've done it, and
Yeah.
it has proven to be an excellent investigative tool.
Wow.
And I'm surprised they're not using it more.
Yeah, so am I.
Look, there's consistent reports of the CIA using reverse speech. I trained the CIA and the FBI for 5 days in '91, and
Wow.
actually, if you Google CIA reverse speech, you'll see in the library they've released at least their interest in reverse speech was one of my books. So maybe investigative agencies are using it without our knowledge. I mean, I don't know.
Well, if the CIA uses remote viewing, and they've also used Uri Geller and other psychics, why would they not take something that has a proven track record that, in my opinion, certainly does not even scratch the surface of anything that is woo-woo?
You're absolutely right. I totally agree with you. I've been shouting this from the rooftop for years. Absolutely.
David, when it comes to some of the uses, would one of the uses that I would consider this to be a very important tool would be the human resource field, the hiring of senior executives, or the hiring of anyone in a position of responsibility and authority?
Right. You know what? I've approached a few companies with that idea, and I have never had anyone bite at it.
Wow.
But I totally agree with you. Yes, that would be an excellent use of reverse speech. Because it's going to give you a very accurate personality profile of the speaker.
Right.
And it's going to go down deeper than any personality test you can currently do.
Yeah.
And it will tell you whether they're going to be a success or not. Whether they, yes.
Here's something I can't understand. We used to have a show on the network called Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, and it was hosted by Sharon Lynn Wyeth, who came up with something called nemology. That she would analyze you by your name.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I know for a fact that personnel agencies and corporations and people who would need, like you and I were discussing, the authority as well as the responsible aspect of hiring would use her. And I personally think that what you have discovered is far more,
right,
should I say, credible or understandable?
Yeah, no, look, let me just say I'm very pleased that you understand it and can see the implications of it.
Yeah.
I have a high level of frustration sometimes, and trying to get people to realize this is an incredible discovery.
It is. Is it possible, David, that the reason it is not getting as much traction as I believe it should, and I believe one day very shortly it will, is because it's going against the grain of certain industrialists as well as governmental agencies?
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Oh, definitely. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. It it has. Well, I mean, I'm getting tongue-tied on these implications. Look, I do reversals on politicians for radio shows,
Right.
and I have, and some of the information that it reveals are shocking, absolutely.
Sure.
And politicians don't want this. No, it's the last thing. I mean, Adam Schiff seeing his reversals on the impeachment hearing. Wow. No, or Prince Andrew.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, here, let me play you the verse on Prince Andrew.
Oh, please.
I'll play you two.
Okay.
I've got quite a few actually, but I'll play you two. Here is he's talking about this photograph that he had the arm around this girl. So here we go.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
Your arm was around her waist.
Yes.
You've seen the photo.
I've seen the photograph.
How do you explain that?
I can't.
And he says backwards, I cover this up.
There it is. As plain as day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's covering it up. Now let me play you the coup de grace. This reversal here needs to go viral. I mean, I don't want to buy into conspiracy theories, but this one is a doozy. So here we go.
Nobody can prove whether or not that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
And here he says, Jeff had to get murdered.
Jeff had murdered.
Wow.
Does that send chills?
It does.
I know.
The implications of that statement.
I know.
Shake the very grounds of Buckingham Palace.
I know. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. Jeff obviously being Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
Who allegedly suicided, but when I hear that reversal, I think, was he indeed suicided, and what did the prince know about it?
Yes, and I'm sure I read somewhere where the prince has been pulled from his royal duties.
He's been fired and asked to clear out his office from Buckingham Palace.
Wow. David, you and I have to take our final break, and when we come back, I'd love for my audience to listen to a few more of your many wonderful reverse speeches, and I hope I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that a lot of people outside of our listening audience get to listen to this show, because I think the truth of reverse speech has to get out there, and I can tell you, my friend, I'm going to do everything I can.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
That's what friends are for.
Yeah, thank you.
Stand by, David. Exonation David Oates is our very special guest. And you're probably saying, oh my God, why isn't this known around the world? Why aren't people using it? Why aren't the police using it? Well, let's each and every one of us get this to somebody that we think might be able to help David get the message across that reverse speech works. And if you go to reversespeech.com, there's plenty of examples there. David Oates and I return on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone. Don't go away. Exonation, my guest this hour is the person who discovered the reverse speech phenomena. His name is David Oates. I've had the pleasure of knowing David over the past 30 years. Hard worker, dedicated. He's very persistent. He came up with this discovery. He's been sharing it with the world ever since I've known him. And I really, like I told David during the last break, I really thought that reverse speech would be so much further that law enforcement would have clued in years ago and would be working with David and his other analysts using this tool that should be used, and yet it's not. So we're going to do everything we can to get the word out there. And what I'd like you to do, the X-Zone Nation, is send people to this website, www.reversespeech.com. And if you know somebody who is in law enforcement, who is a member of the legal profession, or anyone else that you feel could benefit from the application and use of reverse speech, once again, www.reversespeech.com. First of all, David, I want to thank you ever so much for being on the show. And, man,
My pleasure.
I'll tell you something, pal. These reversals speak for themselves. David, do you have any other reversals you can play for us?
Yeah, well, I think you're talking about law enforcement. Let me play you an obvious one here.
Okay.
This is Scott Peterson. He's sitting on death row right now for the murder of his wife.
Sure.
And this is him being interviewed by a reporter before the criminal trial. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go.
Did you murder your wife? No. It's not.
Okay, so did you murder your wife? He denies it. But as he denies it in his mind, he actually flashes back and remembers the crime scene. And he says backwards, neck, I hit hard.
Neck, I hit hard.
Wow.
Neck, I hit hard.
Now, when the body was discovered, the body was decapitated.
Yes.
And they never found the head. So he hit her hard on the back of the neck. Now, if you go and say, no, I did not, into the tape recorder, you're not going to get neck, I hit hard. You're going to get something completely different because it's all to do with the tone of the voice.
It also sounds as if, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, that it's like subliminal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. Yeah. Here's the funny one on Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
And once again, look, I'm not making political statements here. I'm just playing a really funny reversal.
Sure.
So here's the forwards.
And you know what? It also matters when he makes fun of people with disabilities. Calls women pigs.
And she says, and I'll scam you.
And I'll scam you.
And I'll scam you. And I'll scam you.
I mean, what do you say?
Oh, my goodness.
Here, let me show you something. Let me play the whole lot backwards.
Sure.
And hear how it jumps out of the gibberish.
Yeah, it was all. See, the said there will be, and I'll scam you, sir. And I am sorry.
You hear how that just jumps up out of the gibberish there?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yep. Yeah. So that's a funny one. Oh, here's one on Mark Zuckerberg when he testified before Congress, and he's saying how people need to be concerned about their privacy.
And you commit today that Facebook will extend the same protections to Americans that European users will receive under the GDPR?
Yes, Congressman. We believe that everyone around the world deserves good privacy controls.
And he says they're not safe.
They're not safe.
And since he testified, Facebook have since had a major breach into their system. So he knew when he was testifying to Congress that they had privacy issues. Okay,
David, if there's somebody listening around the world tonight who would like to become an analyst using the reverse speech, how do they do this, and what are the basic qualifications?
Oh, right. Well, we would love to have analysts. Yes, indeed. Look, you really need no qualifications. I teach you everything you know. I'll take you from scratch and train you up. You need to be the qualification you need to have is you need to be a hard worker. You need to be able to sit down in front of the computer for hours and hours on end. That being said, it's a very exciting technology to learn. We provide full technical support and everyone gets a tutor and a trainer to take them through the course. The next course is starting, I believe, February or March next year. You can sign up to reversespeech.com through there. It's a six month course.
Wow.
We do it online. So it's one class every 2 weeks for 3 hours of class, but then you got a whole bunch of homework to do. So, but anyone who gets involved now is really getting in at the very ground beginning of a whole new field. I mean, anyone who gets in now will be a pioneer because, and I'm not going to be around forever. So
Oh, come
someone's got
on.
to
Oh, come
take-
on. We need you around, buddy.
I know. Well, yeah, I don't intend to go for many
Oh, that's good.
years.
That's good. David, what about the paranormal investigation technique of EVPs? Have you had any experience, doing reverse speech on aspects of the paranormal?
Interesting you should say that. I actually have a personal interest in EVP, and it's just a little hobby, really. And I found an EVP that I got to play you if I can just find my EVP file at the top of my head. It's got to be the best EVP I have ever heard. And of course, while I'm looking for it, I can't find it. I wasn't expecting to go to EVPs.
Well, listen, David, why don't you look for it? Because I want to tell our listeners how they can find out more about you. And XO Nation, like I said, our guest this hour is David Oates. He's had an active career now spanning 36 years, furthering the field that he discovered called reverse speech. As a full-time occupation, he has developed new theories and designed therapeutic and training techniques. He published several books on reverse speech, including Beyond Backward Masking, Voices from the Unconscious, and It's Only a Metaphor. If you'd like to take a course, if you'd like to find out more about David, if you'd like to listen to more examples of reverse speech, the website is www.reversespeech.com. All right, David, back to you.
Okay, all right. I have almost found it. It's on my backup drive. Look, actually, we're going to run out of time. I'm real sorry about that.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, we're going to run out of time. Hang on. Maybe. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
All right.
Yay.
All right. This is the best EVP I have ever heard, and it is on Jim Jones. Okay. It's not on Jim Jones. It's actually on the recording of the massacre of Jim Jones, where he got 900 people to suicide.
Wasn't that in Guyana?
This in Guyana.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is right at the end of the tape, where everyone has died. Okay.
Right.
And there's just no noise. There's a bit of music in the background. And I'm going to play this, and you'll hear right in the background this low growl. Okay, so here we go. Did you hear that?
I heard it, but I couldn't make out what the growl was saying.
Right. Well, I thought the same thing too when I found it. Well, so I played it backwards. And when you play it backwards, it says, "Here's the door, and Mr. Jim Jones, welcome." Listen to this.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so satanic.
Yeah. Sounds very satanic. I think he's being welcomed to the gates of hell, personally.
Exactly.
Anyway, there you go. I didn't mean to get into EVPs, but
no, I'm glad you did. No, because how about people who make claims that they've seen Bigfoot or they've seen a UFO, they've been abducted by aliens? Anything with that?
I just did a show on Bigfoot, and we actually debunked a couple of the claims that the people were obviously lying.
Yeah.
That being said, I think there's enough genuine cases out there to warrant further investigation, but I don't have any more opinion on that. As far as USOs, I investigated that fairly extensively in the late 90s. I found enough cases to make me wonder.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know. a lot of the people who claim they were abductees had some really messed up mental structures, and that makes me wonder how much of it was real and how much was it a delusion, you know.
David, as usual, whenever you're with us, time goes by so fast, my friend. You and I have to say so long for tonight, but as we discussed during the break, you're going to be coming back with us. And I wish you and yours a very best of the, first of all, Thanksgiving, and I you know, even though I may speak to you before Christmas, to you and yours a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for everything you've done over the years, David. And XO Nation, if you'd like to find out more about my guest this hour, David Oates, visit his website and spread the word about reverse speech and spread his website far and wide. www.reversespeech.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.